Hey everyone, welcome back to Smart and Crazy. Today we're diving into the wild world of internet fame. We're going to talk about a kid named Matten Evan who went from a Hong Kong activist to, well, let's just say he's become a bit of a viral sensation.
Yeah, and it's not always clear where his intentions lie. Is he just a troll, or is there something deeper going on? We'll get to the bottom of it, I promise.
It's crazy how quickly someone can go from a relatively unknown activist to a major player in the online world. It all started with him waving a fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong shirt at an NBA game that got him some serious attention, but then he really upped the ante by crashing a BlizzCon panel yelling Free Hong Kong.
You're right, that was a bold move. And it's interesting to see how his activism evolved. At first, it was about raising awareness, promoting a cause, and inspiring others. But then he shifted gears and started using online platforms to gain fame, to become a persona, to trigger reactions.
Yeah, and that's where things get a bit more complicated. He's using shock value, edgy humor, and even trolling tactics to get a reaction. He's basically become the meme lord of online controversy.
But is that a good thing? Is there a line where you're just exploiting algorithms for attention, pushing buttons, and not actually contributing anything meaningful? I mean, he was really young when he started, so maybe he just wanted to see how far he could push the envelope.
I'm not sure, John. It's definitely something to think about, but it's also a reminder of how powerful social media can be. It can amplify voices, connect people, and raise awareness about important issues, but it can also be used for manipulation, for creating viral content that's more about generating clicks than about genuine engagement.
Totally. And it's not just about the content itself, it's about the platforms these creators are using. We're talking about YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, all these massive platforms that are designed to keep us hooked.
And they're all fueled by algorithms that are constantly learning, predicting, and tailoring content to keep us scrolling. It's a fascinating and complex system, but it can be a bit creepy too. We're being fed a curated stream of information, and it's not always clear what's genuine and what's just a marketing ploy.
You know, it's ironic. These platforms are all about freedom of expression, but they're also controlled by algorithms that can limit what we see and how we engage with information. It's like a double edged sword.
You know what else is interesting? Matten's using a specific type of humor, a more cynical, dark, and deliberately offensive brand of humor. It's designed to get a reaction, to provoke, to stir up emotions. It's called rage bait, and it's incredibly effective at generating engagement.
But it's a slippery slope, isn't it? It can be used to expose hypocrisy or to question authority, but it can also be used to spread misinformation, to promote hatred, and to exploit people's vulnerabilities.
It's a fine line, John, and it's one that we as consumers need to be mindful of. We need to think critically about the content we're engaging with, about the creators we're supporting, and about the role that social media plays in our lives.
You know, this whole rage bait phenomenon reminds me of the whole shock humor thing. Remember Andy Kaufman? He'd do these crazy stunts pushing boundaries, testing people's limits. He was a master of using humor to provoke a response, even if that response was anger or confusion.
And then there's Sacha Baron Cohen with his Borat and Wally G characters. He's been doing it for years, using absurdity and exaggeration to expose social hypocrisy. But there's always a debate about whether he's actually making a point or simply trying to be controversial for the sake of it.
It's like a twisted form of social commentary, isn't it? It's a way of holding a mirror up to society, but it's done in a way that's uncomfortable, challenging, and often offensive.
It's fascinating how humor can be used to explore complex topics, to challenge assumptions, and to spark conversations. But it's also important to be aware of the potential for harm when humor is used recklessly or without considering the broader context.
That's why I think it's important to have a critical eye when engaging with online content, especially the stuff that's designed to go viral. We need to be aware of the algorithms, the incentives, and the potential for manipulation.
And we need to be willing to challenge the status quo, to ask questions, and to hold those who wield influence accountable. The internet is a powerful tool, but it's also a double edged sword. It's up to us to use it responsibly and thoughtfully.
Yeah, and that's why we're here, right? To talk about these things, to explore these ideas, and to ask questions. We may not always have the answers, but that's what makes the conversation so interesting.
Absolutely, John. We're just scratching the surface here, and there's a lot more to explore about online fame algorithms and the ethics of social media. So stay tuned because we're just getting started.
So, you mentioned that Madden has become a sort of a meme lord of online controversy. Can you elaborate on what that means? What kind of memes is he creating or using?
Well, it's less about him creating specific memes and more about the memes that have been created about him. He's become a subject of online satire, and a lot of the memes play on his provocative persona. The Bill Clinton kid thing is a big one. It's all about his willingness to push buttons, to say things that are controversial, and to create outrage. And the memes often exaggerate that aspect of his personality.
I see. So he's like a living meme, a source of inspiration for online humor. But it's interesting that he's also using memes in his own content. He seems to be self aware of his role in this online world, and he's using memes as a tool to engage with his audience.
Exactly. He's playing the game and he's playing it well. He understands the power of memes, how they can spread virally, and how they can be used to communicate ideas and emotions in a way that's relatable and engaging. But again, it raises questions about his intentions. Is he genuinely trying to create art or is he just exploiting the attention economy?
That's the big question, isn't it? And I think it's a question we need to ask ourselves about a lot of the content we see online. Is it genuine expression or is it just manufactured to fit a certain algorithm to appeal to a specific audience?
It's hard to tell sometimes, but I think it's important to be critical, to be aware of the forces at play, and to be mindful of the impact that our consumption habits have on the online world.
It's funny. I was just reading an article about the attention economy and how it's shaping the way we create and consume content. The article argued that the most successful creators are the ones who can grab our attention, keep us engaged, and ultimately sell us something, whether it's a product, a service, or an idea.
And Matt Evan is a perfect example of that, isn't he? He's mastered the art of capturing attention, even if it means being controversial or offensive. He knows what will go viral, what will get people talking, and he's using that knowledge to his advantage.
But it's also dangerous, isn't it? Because it creates a system where people are rewarded for being provocative, for pushing buttons, for saying things that are outrageous. It rewards sensationalism over substance, and it can lead to a culture of negativity and division.
Absolutely. And it's a cycle that's hard to break. Once you've tasted the sweet nectar of viral fame, it's hard to go back to creating content that's more thoughtful and nuanced.
But I think it's important to resist that temptation. We need to support creators who are creating content that's meaningful, that's thought provoking, that's challenging, but also respectful and constructive. We need to encourage a culture of critical thinking and responsible online engagement.
It's a tall order, but it's one that we need to strive for. We need to be better consumers of online content, to be more aware of the algorithms that are shaping our experiences, and to be more mindful of the impact that our actions have on the online world.
And maybe, just maybe, if we can shift the focus from sensationalism to substance, from outrage to empathy, we can create a more positive and constructive online environment.
I like that, John. It's a hopeful message, and it's a reminder that we all have a role to play in shaping the future of the internet.
So, what's next for Matt and Evan? Do you think he'll continue down this path of online controversy, or will he eventually seek a more meaningful way to use his platform?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? I think it's possible he'll eventually tire of the constant drama and seek a different kind of fame, something more sustainable and fulfilling. But it's also possible that he'll double down on the controversy, pushing the boundaries even further, testing the limits of what's acceptable in the online world.
Either way, it's going to be interesting to watch. He's a fascinating study in the power of online platforms, the allure of fame, and the complexities of human nature.
Absolutely. And it's a story that's still unfolding. So stay tuned because we'll be back to discuss more about Matt and Evan and the future of internet fame in the coming weeks. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Until next time,